Welcome to The Debate. Today, we are examining a really fascinating emergence of artificial intelligence in the wellness industry. Specifically, we're looking at a new comprehensive course of study laid out in our source material. It's essentially a curriculum designed for modern yoga teachers, and it is honestly a remarkably fun and exciting frontier.
It really is. It's a profound shift in how the business of wellness operates.
Exactly. Because this material instructs yoga instructors on how to integrate AI tools like ChatGPT, image generators, and various organizational algorithms into literally every facet of their profession. It covers everything from designing the actual physical class sequences and writing guided meditation scripts to building digital courses and managing marketing campaigns.
Right. And it addresses a massive bottleneck for today's teachers, which is balancing the deeply rooted traditional practice of yoga with frankly, the heavy administrative demands of running an independent wellness business.
Yeah, that balance is so tough. Which brings us to the central question we're debating today. Can a curriculum that trains yoga teachers to rely on artificial intelligence for creative and structural tasks truly enhance the practice, or does it risk diluting the fundamentally human, intuitive essence of yoga?
A crucial question.
I'll be taking the position that this course of study is an empowering, absolutely essential evolution. It acts as a force multiplier, handling those repetitive tasks so teachers can actually focus their energy on real human connection.
And I will be representing the perspective that systematically injecting a non-conscious, pattern-matching algorithm into the sacred, intuitive processes of yoga, such as sequencing and medication, threatens to mechanize and commodify what is at its core embodied wisdom.
Well, to begin, I think we have to look at the reality of the profession today. The curriculum highlights that we expect yoga teachers to be far more than just guides in a studio room. They are expected to be marketers, event organizers, course designers, copywriters, community builders. And frankly, that expectation is a direct pipeline to severe burnout. What this course of study does is teach instructors how to use AI as a highly capable creative assistant. By mastering this curriculum, a teacher can take a task that once required hours of agonizing work, like outlining a weekend workshop or formatting a monthly newsletter, and condense it into just a few minutes.
Look, the administrative burden on teachers is undeniable. The relief this curriculum promises is substantial, and I don't dispute the efficiency at all.
And that efficiency actually aligns beautifully with yoga philosophy. By drastically reducing that burnout, the curriculum frees up the teacher's time for svadhyaya, or self-study. It allows the teacher to step away from the glowing screen, return to their own physical practice, and be far more present and energetic in the actual room with their students. It protects the teacher's energy so they can actually, teach.
I understand the practical appeal, I really do. But we must look closely at the philosophical implications of what is being taught here. Artificial intelligence does not breathe. It doesn't feel. It possesses absolutely no awareness. Yet this course teaches instructors to use AI for the very core of spiritual guidance.
I wouldn't say it.
We are talking about utilizing an algorithm to write Savasana meditation scripts and to design physical movement sequences. Relying on a machine to generate the frameworks for human transformation invites to me a dangerous level of over-automation. It risks replacing the teacher's intuitive, embodied knowledge with generic, algorithmically averaged content. When we allow a machine to draft the words that guide a student into their deepest state of vulnerability, we cross a line. We go from administrative assistance into the mechanization of the practice itself.
I hear that concern, but the curriculum does not instruct teachers to blindly hand over their classes to a machine. It trains them in the highly specific skill of prompting. The material contrasts a basic, lazy prompt like write a yoga class with a sophisticated, guided prompt. A trained teacher learns to ask the AI to create a 60-minute vinyasa yoga class focused on hip mobility and stress relief for intermediate students.
But an algorithm doesn't know what a tight hip actually feels like.
Well, no, of course not.
It just knows that the word pigeon pose frequently appears next to the words hip mobility in a vast data set. It is a statistical correlation, not an anatomical or energetic understanding.
That is true, but the AI isn't the one physically executing the class or adjusting the students. The teacher is. The AI simply provides a structural framework based on the 6 traditional stages of a class outlined in the material: arrival, warm-up, building heat, peak postures, cool down, and savasana. It solves the blank page problem, and it sparks fresh creativity.
Solving the blank page problem is perfectly fine for a promotional email, but for a physical sequence, the friction of the blank page is where the teacher's creativity actually happens. It's where they reflect on what they observed in the bodies of their students last week.
Taking the friction out of the initial structure doesn't eliminate creativity, though. It just redirects it. The teacher still reviews, refines, and brings their physical expertise to that sequence. If the AI provides the skeleton of the class, the teacher can spend their time refining the transitions or exploring a new thematic variation they might not have considered. It just gets them past the inertia of starting from scratch.
Let's follow that logic into the meditation modules then, because the course explicitly advises using AI to generate savasana and guided meditation scripts. This is where the spiritual efficacy of the curriculum really falters for me.
How so?
The blank page problem applies to writing scripts just as much as physical sequencing, because students do not attend a yoga class merely to hear a structurally sound paragraph of calming words. They attend for shared stillness, presence, and compassionate guidance that arises in real time. The curriculum suggests that teachers can quickly build entire meditation libraries using AI prompts for themes like gratitude or stress relief. But an AI-generated script, again, is just a collection of statistically probable words. It does not stem from the teacher's personal lived experience.
The material is very clear, though, that the AI is only drafting the baseline text. The teacher must personalize it and deliver it with their authentic voice. It's a starting point.
But presence isn't scripted. You have to read the room. A teacher might walk into a studio intending to teach a heart-opening sequence, but realize the energy in the room is highly anxious and frantic. They have to pivot intuitively to grounding and stabilization. If a teacher is relying on an algorithmic script they generated the night before, they are locking themselves into a predetermined path. The words risk being completely hollow because the guidance is simulated, not felt in the moment.
I would actually argue that having a well-organized library of foundational scripts gives the teacher more flexibility to pivot, not less. If they have already used AI to structure 3 different thematic approaches for the week, they aren't scrambling. They have the grounding tools ready. But let's look at the business and marketing modules of this course, because this is where the daily reality of the modern yoga teacher really comes into play.
The marketing modules are extensive, certainly.
They are, and for very good reason. Visibility is a massive hurdle in this industry. A teacher could have the most profound, embodied wisdom on the planet, but if they cannot reach their local community or maintain a consistent digital presence, they simply cannot survive professionally. The curriculum shows teachers how to generate Instagram captions, SEO-friendly blog outlines, and email newsletters instantly. It's empowering.
And we are back to the mechanization of connection.
Put yourself in the shoes of the instructor for a moment. Imagine finishing 3 sweaty classes, driving home, and sitting down at your laptop at 11 p.m. to figure out how to format a promotional email on MailChimp so your upcoming workshop actually fills up. The chronic stress of modern entrepreneurship is actively harming teachers. Think about this through the yogic ethical lens of ahimsa, or non-harming. By alleviating that late-night administrative stress, by allowing an AI to draft that newsletter in seconds, the curriculum is practicing ahimsa. It is protecting the teacher's nervous system.
I absolutely support protecting a teacher's well-being, but outsourcing community outreach to a chatbot creates a direct conflict with another ethical pillar, satya, or truthfulness.
Drafting an email about a workshop schedule does not violate truthfulness.
A schedule? No. But marketing in yoga isn't just about listing dates and times. It is fundamentally about authentic connection. The curriculum also talks about writing educational blog posts and crafting emotional newsletters. If a teacher sends a deeply reflective newsletter connecting with their community after a challenging global event, and it was actually generated by ChatGPT, is that an authentic connection?
You're assuming they just blindly copy-paste like a zombie. The curriculum explicitly states that AI-generated text should always be reviewed, verified for accuracy, and infused with the teacher's personal insights. It operates as a drafting assistant, not a ghostwriter. You are assuming the teacher loses all agency the moment they open the software.
I am assuming human nature when exhausted. Extreme convenience creates a massive temptation to over-automate. You brought up the exhausted teacher at 11 p.m. When you are that tired, the temptation to simply copy and paste whatever the AI spits out without infusing your personal insights is immense. If a student reads a heartfelt message from their teacher believing it came from their teacher's lived experience, and it was actually an algorithmically generated approximation of empathy, that is a breach of trust. It threatens to turn spiritual guides into generic, high-volume content producers just to satisfy the SEO algorithm.
Look, ignoring the SEO algorithm just means the teacher's wisdom dies in a vacuum. If they don't produce content, they don't reach students. The tools allow them to play the modern digital game without entirely sacrificing their time. And this ability to produce structured content efficiently opens up possibilities for scaling a teacher's impact that we haven't even touched on yet.
You're talking about the digital course creation modules.
Yes. The material provides detailed instructions on using AI to outline complex educational programs. A teacher can use it to structure a comprehensive 200-hour teacher training module on the 8 limbs of yoga. They can use it to map out the intricate scheduling of a 3-day wellness retreat, balancing practice, lecture, meals, and free time.
Retreat logistics are certainly complex.
They are completely overwhelming. By using AI to organize this complex information into clear syllabi and digital learning programs, teachers can share their knowledge globally. They can make the teachings accessible to people who live in remote areas or who cannot afford the time and expense of attending high-priced physical studios. Handling the heavy lifting of course structuring allows for the democratization of access to yoga.
Democratizing access is a worthy goal. Making the practice more accessible is something we both support entirely. However, we have to look at what happens when you standardize complex philosophical topics through AI generation. The material talks about outlining the 8 limbs of yoga or creating anatomy modules. These are incredibly dense, nuanced subjects.
Which is exactly why having an AI-structured syllabus is so helpful. It ensures no fundamental step is skipped.
But yoga philosophy isn't just a checklist of data points to be organized into a syllabus. Ancient lineages and philosophical concepts are historically passed down through direct, messy, human mentorship. It is an oral and physical tradition where the teacher observes the student's specific misunderstandings and corrects them in real time. When we use AI to create standardized, digital course syllabi, we risk stripping away that necessary nuance.
I just don't see how organizing the material strips away the nuance. The AI isn't doing the teaching. It's organizing the curriculum.
It standardizes the curriculum based on the most common denominators found in its training data. The source material itself states that AI cannot replace the subtle relationship between teacher and student. So we really have to question whether a hybrid or digital model that relies heavily on AI-generated outlines truly upholds the transformative power of direct mentorship. The container of a retreat or the sequence of a 200-hour training sets the energetic tone for the students. If you outsource the creation of that container to an algorithm, you alter the spiritual integrity of the education. Standardization is often the enemy of intuitive, personalized teaching.
But that standardization of the baseline material is exactly what gives a teacher the bandwidth to focus on the nuanced mentorship. If the AI handles the basic structuring of the anatomy module, outlining the bones, the joints, the basic biomechanics, the teacher doesn't have to spend hours formatting a PDF document. They arrive at the live Q&A session with their energy intact, ready to answer the complex, nuanced questions about how those biomechanics apply to a specific student's injury.
Assuming the AI-generated anatomy module is entirely accurate, which the curriculum notes requires careful fact-checking by the instructor anyway.
Fact-checking a document takes a fraction of the time it takes to write one from scratch. We have to keep returning to the reality of the instructor's workload. You are prioritizing a traditional ideal of mentorship, which is beautiful, but it often relies on the invisible, unpaid labor of the teacher spending countless hours behind a desk instead of in the studio.
I am prioritizing the integrity of the transmission of knowledge. If we reduce yoga to a series of informational products, digital courses, meditation libraries, SEO blog posts,
We are treating it like any other e-commerce commodity.
Yoga in the West is already a business. Pretending otherwise doesn't help the instructors who are struggling to pay rent. This course of study provides a vital toolkit to navigate that business sustainably. It empowers teachers to overcome crushing administrative burdens by teaching instructors how to use AI as a collaborative creative assistant for sequencing, marketing, and course design. This material acts as a true force multiplier. It amplifies a teacher's efficiency, ultimately protecting them from burnout so they can serve their students with greater presence.
While the curriculum offers an undeniable, almost seductive level of efficiency, it requires intense, ongoing vigilance. The tools are powerful, yes, but when we apply them to the intuitive aspects of the practice, like generating meditation scripts or communicating authentic philosophy, we walk a very fine line. Teachers must ensure that the extreme convenience of an algorithm does not overwrite the deeply human embodied essence of yoga. The wisdom of this practice comes from consciousness, not computation. We must fiercely protect the authenticity of the teacher-student connection from the temptation of over-automation.
Intelligence is rapidly becoming an essential professional skill for yoga teachers. The true value of this curriculum lies in its insistence that AI be treated strictly as a supportive tool, a way to organize ideas and draft frameworks rather than a replacement for human wisdom.
Ignoring the technology is not a viable professional strategy moving forward. The educational journey laid out in this material forces every instructor to deliberately define their relationship with these tools. The balance between preserving the depth of ancient tradition and utilizing modern innovation is complex, and it will require constant recalibration.
It is a profound evolution for the industry, and there is much more to explore in the source material regarding specific prompts, business strategies, and structural frameworks. We invite our listeners to dive into the curriculum themselves to define their own boundaries with this technology. Thank you for joining us for this intellectual exchange. We will leave it to you to form your own conclusion. Goodbye.